Hello. I want to talk about something. That's something most people don't realize. And we're going to start off with this and then we'll get into Stephen King because it kind of goes together. Everybody talks bad about made for TV films. Back in the 80s, no, all the way back in the 70s, all the way to the early 2000s, a lot of Stephen King movies were made for television. And but don't talk bad about them. I just they're yeah. And let's talk about Stephen King. Um yeah, if you want to know about the man, you come to the wrong person. Because the only thing I know about him is his children's names, his wife, his birthday, and what they do. That's about as far as I went with that. I do know a little bit about him. I do know how he liked to I got a better day. It ain't water. This is, but I hope y'all understand what I mean by that. He liked to get sloshed. He also liked to partake of the powder, but everybody knows about that. Yeah, I do know a little bit about his political stuff, and me and him kind of agree on some points there. But that's not what I mean by let's talk about Stephen King. I mean, let's talk about his book. Let's talk about his movies. I'm gonna talk about a story that I absolutely love. And me and a lot of people love this story. We want him it to become a reality on the big screen, but every time they try to make it, it doesn't go right. And that is Eyes of the Dragon. And just by that name alone should tell you why it's hard to make. Dragon. See, he went into detail. Every curve, every line, everything, every scale of that dragon. He talked about it in the book. Therefore, they could uh, naturally do something that didn't take that into account, but we, the people that read the book, would be pretty pissed off. There's some things that you can get away with, but that if you got a dragon, you better make it exactly like the one that's in the story. And they know that. And Apple was going to make it, but every time they tried to make the dragon, it came out looking weird and not at all like what it was supposed to be. It's hard to make a dragon, especially the one that is in this story. See, the reason it's called Eyes of the Dragon is because there is a sorcerer. Let's call him Merlin. That ain't his name. He's an evil bastard. If I told you his real name, you'd be like, "Yep, he is." Um, but 'Cause I guarantee if you know anything about Stephen King in cinema, you know the name that I'm not saying, 'cause he's been in the, Stephen King's stories in the movies. But let's get back to the whole thing of this, they made the dragon eyes to look like his. They have to do that because actually he is the dragon that's haunting everybody, and it's it's hard to explain how it worked and everything. I'm kinda giving what? But but yeah, I'd really love to see, Eyes of the Dragon be made. I know who I would like to play the sorcerer, but I'm not gonna say it. Um, let's just say I'd like to see him redo his character from the movie he was in. Yeah, if anyone leaves a comment below or after the stream asking me who it is, I will tell you. But see, that book, Stephen King wanted to write a book that would be for his children, and at the time they were children. Um, that was kind of like a modern day R.J. Tolkien esque like story set here in America. It's more like Merlin than it is Lord of the Rings, though. Believe me, I've read both of them. It's a lot harder to read Tolkien's work than it is Stephen King's book, which, little side note, fun fact, the book that Tolkien wrote was one book, but they would not publish it that way. They wanted it to be cut, and they told him that you can't have it as one. But the book is actually supposed to be one thing. There go, so do the movies. But yeah, let's get back to let's talk about something that a lot of people seem to have problem with. Why do a movie differently than the book? Well, different people have different ideas, and some people like the thing that's made that isn't an exact copy of what happened in the book. Did you know? And I'm serious. They've never depicted Carrie the right way. The closest they ever got was, the last Carrie movie they did. But they're supposed to be doing one either this year or next year. It's to be announced. Um, but yeah, they're doing another Carrie movie. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think it's a bad idea. I mean, just alone, no one has ever had someone that actually looked like Carrie. I mean, a great example of what Carrie looked like is me. No, Stephen King wrote her to look like she had meat on the bone. She was not skinny. Um, there's a lot of movies being made that are Stephen King stories. There's a lot of remakes. They're remaking Cujo, which, unless they set it back in the 80s, it's not going to do well because, or they can't set it here in America. There's no damn way. People get their animals vaccinated nowadays, and with the fact that you can buy insurance like you do for humans, and it only costs us maybe $10 for you to do it a month, why wouldn't you? And not to mention the fact that if you can afford to get your dog vaccinated and everything, have rabies shots, we are in the 21st century. We know the signs of if your pet's got rabies. We just get a shotgun and go poof in the store. So realistically, I don't see how they're going to be able to make a modern day Cujo movie. There's this book I've been reading and everything, and, well, it's a trilogy. It's 3 books in 1, and, there's this evil entity that can possess things, animals, like birds, dogs, wolves, bears, foxes, people that are impaired. What I mean by that is they've been drinking, they haven't got enough sleep, they're on edge about something. This evil thing can take over. That would be the only way I'd see them being able to pull off Cujo now. This reminds me, I was watching a show called Horror Moments, and one of the things that happened was um a car not being able to start your car. It happens. It's happened to people, but it don't happen like it does in movies. The first movie they showed when they did it, the reason I thought that about that is Cujo. They recently remade a Salem's Lot. I've yet to watch it. I've seen the other 2. I haven't seen, The Return to Salem's Lot. Some people say it's not any good. Oh, that's another thing. A lot of stuff that is got Stephen King's name on it has movies that have got sequels to 'em. There's only one book that Stephen King has ever read. Well, there's more than that. I'll get into that other subject because it's a series. There's only one book he wrote that was a sequel to another book, and that was The Shining, and the sequel is Doctor Sleep. But they love to make sequels to things. I mean, they did it for Pet Sematary, the original and the remake. Well, not so fast. I'm getting ahead of myself. It isn't a sequel. It is a prequel because this is set in the past, the last one I made. The original Firestarter did it too. They made a sequel. Rose Red made a sequel. I mean, it was focusing in on Ellen Runbauer. And I actually think that Stephen King did that. If I'm thinking correct. I think he wrote the story for the movie. Um there's a couple of things that he did that with. He didn't write a book, he didn't do all that stuff, but he did write the story, the script for it. I'll talk about the other one, the 2 other ones in a few minutes, okay. Um, Another great example of movies that were sequels that weren't really Stephen King's is, Sometimes I Come Back. And next one we're gonna talk about is my favorite series. I don't care if you don't like it. You don't have to. I like being different any damn way. But even if I didn't, I like every single movie, and that's how I base it on. Last one that they made, everybody hates it, but me and 3 other people. That is, Children in the Corn. And for y'all out there that wanna know, buckle up because this is gonna be a long story. Um, Children of the Corn was made in 1984. Then they had a second one, a sequel called, The Last Sacrifice. They always do this crap, but just wait, buckle up because there's a lot more than 2. There's a lot more than 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 from this time on. Then number 3 is called Urban Harvest, and they kinda did get away. Um, they went from the country to the city of Chicago. What bothered me and a lot of people don't pay no fucking attention to this that actually watch these movies, is the fact that, the doctor in the first movie, him and his wife were moving to Chicago, and the kids that they took with them, Sarah and Toby, went with them. So why didn't the evil little bastard go looking for them kids? Or the 2 people that, wiped out the originals? That's what I wanna know. Um, 'Kay, before we go back to, a small town, yeah, I might be wrong, but I don't think they ever said where it was at. But 4 is The Gathering, and, here's how this story went. There's this woman that is, suffering from being afraid to go outside because she keeps having this dream about this person coming. Well, she's agoraphobic. Um, so yeah, um, she don't want to leave home. It terrifies her. And she keeps having this dream about this guy. It ain't really a dream. Halfway through, you see that it's actually true, and she's having premonitions. But I digress. This evil little preacher kid, they wanted to make him little forever so he'd keep preaching and give these evil preacher men money and revival him. And there was a secret about him. So he comes back as a ghost, but he's trying to take over, and all the people from his generation are trying to take over the local kids' bodies. And one of them has a secret. Her mother isn't who her mother is. Everybody says, "This is your mother," but it's not, and that's her secret. But, um I kinda gave the ending away, but nobody's gonna watch these movies. The 5th one is called Fields of Terror, and, we go back to Gatlin, Nebraska. And all the kids that are creepy now are being took care of by, this one adult. And they their ruler, the one that's the evil little kid that controls them, is the little boy that was in picket fences. Along with him being the evil little kid, there's this boy, and he's a part of this story. I'm getting away off myself. Okay, the storyline goes that there is these friends that are going across country to this place to dump their friend's ashes, and 2 of them are going around leaving signs for the rest of them to follow. 4 in the car behind and 2 in the front, giving them directions by putting up blow up dolls. You heard me. And it's exactly what you think I mean it is. Uh, but the girl sees corn everywhere and she decides she wants some because they're in the middle of a countryside and that she think um the guy she's with tells her that these people are down to earth. They'll invite you in and give you tea and have you over for dinner and everything. But we're in the Children of the Corn movie. So the kids see that her in the car on and they get her and then they get him. And that's where the end of the story goes for them two. And they're following it and then the friends are and one of the dolls slides and hits the car and they get into a ditch and the kid that's on picket fences, he comes and tells them to get off the land and everything, and one of the kids that's there is one of the girls that's in the car sister, and, she wants to run, but then she decides she's not going to, and, one of the but yeah, um, that was 5, now 6, most people have seen the first one and know who Isaac is. Well, he's returned. He was on life support and he was in a coma because he was dead, but there was a girl that got swept away and she was sent off to all the way to California and she wanted to find out about her roots and she knew that she was from Gatlin, Nebraska. So she decided to get in her car after her mom dies and go looking for her history. But when she gets there, no one will tell her anything, and a lot of them are creepy with her. And uh, one of the cops is in love with Isaac, and she's keeping him safe and everything. But when Hannah, that's her name, goes to see Isaac, he wakes up. And he's convinced that the he who walks behind the road, which is, the firstborn son, it's his son, but it isn't. This whole time, Hannah's been getting to know the guy that's, and she likes him. She don't like Isaac kid. Isaac the kid doesn't like her either. He's in love with someone else. But, okay. That is number 6. Number 7 is revolution. When everybody invades town of Gatlin, Nebraska, not too far from it is a town in Hammondford, and there's this uh, preacher that evil preacher that's doing a tent revival, and he knows something's going down, so he talks everybody into and aliven themselves, and, one of the people decides that they're not gonna do that, so they crawl out from under the tent, and, but now I'm going in backwards. This isn't the beginning. It starts with an old lady, and she's the grandmother of this girl that keeps calling, and finally, she's had enough and wants to see her grandma because she's not getting any answers. Her grandma's dead, but she's not because in a sick, twisted, warped way, she's coming back from the dead, and she's the kid that ran. See, her grandma raised her. Her parents died in a fire, and that is number 7. Number 8, and this is the last one in the originals, is, Genesis. And the way they explain why the kid, is okay, there's a kid and he's evil and they've got him in things and he kills people and blah, 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 just like the rest of them. But he needs new vessels ever so often, and this woman and her husband, they, they come and they're knocking on this guy's door, and he's supposed to be a preacher, and he, lets him in 'cause he can tell she's pregnant, and, they kidnap her so that they can, make her the baby they're willing to sacrifice to he who works behind the road and being reborn in this baby. Oh, but that's not the only that's not we aren't done with these Children of the Corn movies. Next is the remake. It was made for television, and it's a 2009 film, and it's closer to the book. See, in this story, it's not a book. It is a short story novella from a collection of stories in a book called The Night Shift, and it's not like the movie. Like I said, it's a short story. It's about this book. It's not very big, but um, Vicky and Burke are not happy couple. They're not in the original, they were loving company couple and everything. This one, on the other hand, not so much. They are bickering and feuding with each other, and, Dickie is mad at Bert because he is military, and instead of coming home to her, he took another tour in the Vietnam War, and, they made him come home because he had wounds, but he's a doctor, just like in the last one, and, he's full of anger. He tries to fight the kids and everything, but there's more of them than him, and they live off the land, they The beginning is like the original one. They kill all the people and everything, but the reason is because their parents are lazy and abusive and drunks and don't wanna do anything, and the corn is done, and they believe that if they kill their parents and feed the blood to the corn, it will bring it back to life, which kinda works because it's thriving. But we ain't stopped here. Um, at one point towards the end, the girl, one of the people, she dreams of setting fire to the, cornfield, and she's mad because, of the whole setup with her d they did something they weren't supposed to. He who walks by the roads one sacrifice, and it changes the age from 19 to 18, and, that means that the one that she's with will die, and she doesn't want him to. She's pregnant, so she decides to run. There comes the next movie, and it's called Children of the Corn 2, Runaway. She's been on the run for years, teaching her son and everything, but she don't, instead of going somewhere where cornfields don't are not at, she stays true to what she said. She goes to places where there's cornfield, and the evil children, are always looking for her. But this time, it's a grown woman, and she befriends the older one, and she wants her dad, and she talks the son into going back and being part of He Who Walks by the Road. He's at the age where he can be, and he's at the age where he don't wanna listen to his mother no more. Typical teenager. That she wants to leave, but she doesn't. She tells the person that she thinks is her friend to take care of her son if anything happens to her. 'Cause she's been staying there for a while because the car is broke down and she needs a new belt and she's gotta take a job too, and she just has a feeling she she's starting to have dreams and everything of this little girl with evil eyes. The little girl shapeshifts into a grown woman. Yeah. Um, that's the last one in that trilogy, and the last one is Children of the Corn, and they do a lot longer, and they explain, they show you why the parents are evil and must die. Pretty damn well too. I don't like the parents, and the movie doesn't scare me. It's not scary, the last one, and that's probably a big reason why people don't like it, but I'm a big supporter of watching movies to say they're horror just because you like them. even if they don't scare you. That's just let's be honest, if you watched horror movies since you were a child, like I did, you get desensitized to it anyway, but, yeah. Okay, I've told you all about the Children of the Corn movies. Let's talk about somebody else. A lot of people say that Randall Flagger, he who or, the Walking Dude, or the Man in Black, all the same damn names, by the way. He is he who walks behind the rose. That's what everybody thinks. Stephen King says no. But I can understand why they feel that way because remember, Abigail Freemantle lived in Hemmingford Home. It's right next to Gatlin, Nebraska, and Flag was always going around trying to mess with her, and he would do it in the cornfield, and he had rats. I've got theories. Okay, it starts out with now, I never read the books, but this is my theories with the movies. Okay, 1922. There's this man. He's been a farmer all his life. He wants to leave his home to his son. His wife, she does not want to be there. She wants to be big time fancy hairdresser. And most of the land that they own belongs to her father. So she tells her husband that she's gonna give him a divorce if he doesn't agree to every damn thing she wants. So he plots with his son because the son is falling in love with the neighbor's daughter to get rid of her. This is where it all starts. This house, the things that he does in it. Um, and eh, he dolls himself up. He talks. His son is he hates his mother, and she's like, you know, when I leave your dad, you're coming with me. You have no business being with your daddy. Son's has to be with his mother. But and she says this stuff in front of him, and she says some really nasty things to him about his girlfriend and everything. They're trying to give you the picture that you don't wanna like this woman, which I don't. But, yeah, they decide that they're going to get rid of her. And this happens pretty fast. It's probably the first 40 minutes of the movie. So me telling you this stuff isn't gonna do nothing. And I think it sours the ground and it corrupts it and brings on an evil entity. And that is where the whole start of the evil that is he who walks behind the rose starts. It'd even be the start of Randall Flagg, as a matter of fact, because after him and his son stick her in a well, the rats start coming around. And we're not talking about little bitty rats. We're talking about huge ass, giant sized ones. And they follow him, even after he sells his land. Okay, talked about that storyline. Now let's talk about the next. It should be no surprise that I want to talk about the stand because I've been talking about the book. Um, Neither one of the movies get it right. They both are, but there's enough in between the stories to get a good gist of what the story's about and everything. Good and evil, blah blah blah. But the remake goes a little more into depth. In some ways, in other ways it doesn't. Okay, in the original, Nadine says, "In my eye, I can see them leaving in the dead of night. In your eyes, I can't see them at all." She's a witch. They made that perfectly clear in the books. Um, Not so much in the movies. The only thing they showed was she could do Ouija board. Okay. Let's go to another story. The Dark Tower. And I already talked about this, but what the hell? I'm gonna go back. Okay. The Eye of the Dragon. Randall Flagg was a sorcerer and he controlled the mind of the king. He wanted the queen, but he couldn't have her because she didn't like him. She had magic and she could see right through him because she was a good witch and he was bad. But he was a time traveler. You find that out in the Dark Tower books. He jumps from generation to generation till he finds Nadine Croft. He is the descendant of the queen that rejected him. Reason he picked her is because he knows that her bloodline's the only one that can handle bringing his kids into this world. Because he actually raped her descendant and got her pregnant. The king had 2 sons. The second one was Axel Randall Flagg's child. But he figured out that he needed someone, needed a child that could actually that was brought to this world by someone that wanted to be with him because he wanted to rule he wanted to take over the world through the kid because how to explain this? Once you give yourself up, your seed goes into the and that's the whole point of why I, say that, Brenda Flagg is he who walks behind the ropes. The whole it's hard to explain. And I think it also ties into sometimes they come back for more. They they try to tie everything in together, in the movie from the books that were written and everything, and, I don't know if they do it any closely to the, stories of, Dark Tower, and that's how they get these, stories from the other things, but am I making any sense? Am I crazy? I know, yeah. Let's go to jump to another timeline. Okay. There's a movie called Storm of the Century, and, there's this guy that goes around and he's not immortal, but he's kinda like a vampire that can die. I think that he is just like the, okay, Rose Hat from Doctor Sleep. I think that he is part of the same kind of thing that they are. Sh eh, her and her group are. I think he's part of that group too, maybe a different branch of it. And different ones have different ways of bringing people over, but, the York on the Tangents is a different storyline. Uh, Stranger Things, Vecna picked kids that, he's seen something in them. That's kinda how, well, no, she picked, what he picked, and you can't make me believe that he did because, either he picked him or he knew that it was gonna end up being him because he spent all this time with, which if you look at Rose Hat, she can see things, see the future, see the past, see all sorts of things, and so he probably could Who, uh I've never read the books, but I imagine in the books, they don't do it this way. They make it more like he spent this much time with this kid, this much time with this kid, this much time with this kid, and spend as much time with all of them. But in the movie, they focused on the one that he actually ends up with. They do that a lot in movies where they spend more time on each character in a book. Um, I mean, they did this in Godzilla the same. Cause with that, I understand it. That dang book is over 1,200 pages. They can't make a movie realistically, even a mini series of a movie realistically with a book that big. Do you know how long that will take? Probably 2, 3 years to bring to screen. Oh, I'll tell you something else they do. In the movie, they focus on Larry, Stu, and Frank, and Lloyd. In the book, they focus on all of them that are from the good guys to the bad. They focus Trash Can Man. They focus on Lloyd. They focus on Nadine. Yeah, I say they. Stephen did. They talk about Black more. They explain why he is the way he is. They talk about what motivates him. They make it perfectly clear that he doesn't want to share Nadine, but there is a reason for it, and they go into depth with that. Um, which you probably can already figure out. They change it and make it a different thing, but it's so he can break her. They explain about Ray. Don't really know anything about him in the movie. Even though he is a little different and he's mentally handicapped, they explain to you that he sometimes thinks more clearly than everybody else around him. And I wish they would have put that on the screen more. I mean, Tom Collins is who I'm talking about. But they, at one part in the book, there's a tornado. It's not really a tornado. It is, Randall Flagg taking and making a tornado out of his body, and he's going after them too. And they can, Lord of the Rings, where, the ring is calling to Frodo, and, he wants to go to it and everything. Well, he wants to put it on, it's calling to him to put it on. But there's, bad guys are at the gate and everything, and if he did, they would catch him. Um, he Nick Andros wants to do the same thing, but Tom Collins grabs him and throws him down and lays on top of him and says, "You can't do that." And he don't let it get off him until the storm stops. It was right after what's her name tries to shoot at them. All I can think of is Johnny Smith. I can't remember the name. It just said something. Certain actors in each different thing I put into the role, and they're stuck in my head. And the one that's the crazy lunatic girl that tries to kill them two is definitely Shawnee Smith. She stands out more than the girl in the remake. Let's talk about other ones. I have nothing against her. I like her and everything she's in, except for this movie, because I cannot relate to her character in it. I like Fran Goldsmith in the remake. Now, I've never seen the girl that plays in the 2020 Stand in anything but that. That ain't really the point. She just has this air about her that makes me think she is Fran. I like, you know, they've never done it right. Harold is a fat man, but by the time they get to Boulder, he's skinny. But they do not do that with his character in any of these either one of these movies. Maybe they will. The movie they're doing. Yes, they're doing a movie of The Stand. It's supposed to come out maybe next year. I don't know. It's in, they're talking about it. They've got a director. They don't even have actors yet. We'll see if I like it. or they botch it. Um, I like the guy that played the trash can man in the remake. He acts more like the person that's in the book. He's lost a touch with reality. I like Larry from the original. I also like Gary Oldman from the original. I'm sorry, but James does not look like he is old enough to be I mean, Stu Redmond. Just for reference, people gonna be mad, but I'm not the one that wrote this damn thing. Fran is 17. Maybe 18. I can't remember. They always want to make her older because Stu is a grown man. But I think that they should make her the age she is. Y- I'm like, she's 17. By the time she gives birth, she's 18. But that's a big reason why I like the girl that's playing the part. She looks like she's a teenager. Oh, yeah. Bran is soft spoken, sweet, and he's not confrontational. Tell you something else, they've never done in either one of them. Okay. In the story of the book, Fran's parents are not dead until the super flu. And her mother hates her. Never liked her, but she's pregnant. And her mom knows it. 'Cause if we're being honest, a friend doesn't like her mom anyway. That's an and in the original, I don't like Harold. In the remake, I was talking about him. I like him better. Why? Because Harold loved Fran, and he actually did what he did in the sequel movie. I mean, in the remake. He locked her away. She still went after everybody to help them, but, they didn't really show how long he had her. She went to the house, wanted to check to see what he was up to because everybody in the town had their doors opened. It was back like it used to be before people started being evil and stealing and trying to do stuff. But Harold, He locked his door. He made the mistake of telling, Fran that, and she got suspicious and told Larry. 'Cause she didn't want, Stu dealing with it because he was in charge of all, everything else and everything. He also told, Larry in front of her and everything, if she needs something, you help her out and everything. They had been in Boulder for long enough to know each other for months, and they didn't emphasize that. I think I'll get off here. My throat is starting to hurt. Well, bye. Remember, be the person you're meant to be, not the one that ever